Welcome back to Nail Babe Pod. I'm your host, Abe, the Nail Babe, excuse me. A podcast dedicated to interviewing the nail babes of the nail world. This week, my nail babe is Larissa from Polish Lab Rat. I'm definitely in Larissa's DMs weekly. Not only did I find her YouTube when I was first starting out, and learned a lot about cleanup brushes and base coats from her. You'll hear in this episode, she has a very analytical mind where we'll often go back and forth analyzing lighting setups or post metrics. In this episode, we get to hear about Larissa's journey as a nail polish enthusiast, content creator, YouTuber, and educator. She has a guide for at-home natural nail manicures, which I'll link below. Since recording this episode, she also launched a new Instagram page, DIY Mani Corner, providing more content on natural nails, manicures, and tips and tricks. I will also link that down below. And without any further ado, you know the drill. Oil those cuticles, lotion your hands, and let's welcome Larissa to the pod. Welcome, Larissa. Polished Lab Rat on everywhere. Of course, you know her from Instagram. I feel like I learned so much from Larissa, even before I met you, even before I was swatching. Just finding your YouTube, you taught me how to do cleanup. My favorite cleanup brush is the one you recommended. And also, of course, that made sense that naturally you have a course now that you teach people how to do at-home natural nail manicures. So we'll get all into that. But I want to start by getting the SparkNote version of how you got into nail polish, how you got into the nail career. I can give you my little spiel. Simply nailogical, COVID boredom, self-expression. For Instagram, it was kind of like a catalog for my nail polish.
So SparkNotes is like super short, condensed, right?
The least amount of sentences possible.
Teenager.
Okay.
Just coming off of biting my nails.
Mm-hmm.
Led into that. And then as I grew up, just kind of like I love the colors, collecting probably. And then at some point, like I would say almost 5 years ago, I decided to do something with like all those 200 bottles that I had. And I was like, I'm gonna open an Instagram and start posting stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know if that's like SparkNotes because I don't have like poetry sentences.
No, that was good. Because also that was like the same thing with me. I had like so many untried polishes that I was like, I just need to like put this on my nail and see what it even is. And like, I loved watching YouTube. Like, it was so satisfying to like see people paint their nails. And I'm like, I can do that.
You definitely can.
I mean, maybe not so great in the beginning, but you know, but I also want to go back to your collection, which you're definitely a collector, would you say, of nail polish?
Yes, I was. So when I opened this page, I had like 200 bottles, which of course, for us in the nail community, that's like, 200 bottles is nothing, but for a regular person,
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I think I had like 100.
It's just something that every once in a while, would just go to the beauty supply store with a friend of mine that also collects. It's nothing to do with Instagram or anything, but we share that. And so that's the thing we would do. Like whenever things were released, let's grab our favorites from so-and-so. And then we would look at swatches at the store. Like we were one of those people. But like it was Pinterest back then, like when we used to do it. We would look at swatches on Pinterest and then just try to like figure out the color. And it was always a struggle because you know how that is. You like think a color is a certain way and then when you get it, it's not. And so anyways, we would do a lot of that, looking up swatches, making sure. And so I don't know, one day I was just like, you know what? I think I want to start posting all this stuff somewhere, you know?
Because were you taking photos anyway or?
No, I was just had them. I've always loved them. So I just had them. And then I would go through periods of time where I would do my own nails at home. And then I would go to the salon, depending on life. Because I had little kids at the time. And, you know, life is kind of like takes you places. But I always have my collection with me, you know. So I was like, I'm going to start posting things. And I want to post how they look in different lighting. And I want to do comparisons. And I want to like show them in different coats, like how it builds up. Because that's the thing too, you know. So I don't know. I always had that in the back of my head. And I told my friend, I have time now. The kids are older. I need a project. I'm doing this. So I just did it.
Well, we're all thankful you did. No, truly. Also, but I wonder, like, because I feel like for a long time, I was trying to like hoard all the polish because like I liked the way it looked all together if I had like an entire collection. I don't know if you have that. Like, I've just given up that now where I'm just like, I'm just going to keep the polishes I like. And like, I have to like get rid of the other ones.
So I think I'm getting there now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how many polishes do you have? Do you know?
I don't know. Last time I counted was like 3 years ago and I had like over 1,000.
Okay.
Very little over 1,000, not like 1,600, but like 1,100 maybe. Maybe that's an exercise. Maybe I should count. But the problem is that they come in and out. You know how it is. You
Yeah.
come in and out. You get so many, and then I give to friends and family. Sometimes I destash, and they just rotate all the time. So it's kind of hard to keep account because I don't have a spreadsheet or anything.
Yeah, me neither.
But I would say it's definitely not less.
Yeah.
than that number. I have certain brands I do have by collection, like my main brand, like OPI, SE, Orly, whatever. I do have them by collection, but everything else is not.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking now at this point, I was like, do I really need to keep all of them? Like there's a bunch of polishes that I know I'm never going to wear. So I keep them for comparisons for people because I used to do a lot of that. That was like a lot of what I would do. And I realized there's certain colors that people never ask for. Like you just know. Like I know, like if I see a collection, I know what I need to keep. I don't need to keep the rest. But it's like the completion thing is like I need them all, and now I'm a little bit over it. So I'm thinking about it. I haven't decided yet, but I might just keep what I like and I know I will use and destash the rest. Because it's too much.
It is. Well, it's just like when I'm like, I don't have enough drawers or shelves. So I'm like, that are just like in boxes. And I'm like, did I do this?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what I'm doing with polish now. I don't even know. I was going to say, it is nice that you have people in your life that you can share just the love of polish with. I feel like I don't really have that. So that's also part of like going on the internet. I just like end up bringing like boxes of nail polish to like my local coffee shop and just be like, anyone want this? Like, please.
Yeah. That's true. Well, so one of my best friends is really into it. And as a matter of fact, I have been into nail polish and nails and manicures, not just the polish, since I was very little. Like I'm the one that does like manicures for like the people in my family and the one that actually does manicures for the guys. Like one of my uncles is a super fan. He's a mechanic and he bites his nails. His nails are a mess. He's a mechanic. So everything's a mess. And he's one of those people that will be like, I need you. And then I would do like a manicure on him. I love doing that on guys. I love it. So I'm the one that does that for my cousins and my uncles, even like, and the grandmas and the aunts and all of that. So I really like the manicure aspect of it as well as the polish. But when I was collecting, I never knew the collections were a thing. So this friend of mine that I was mentioning at the beginning, she's the one that told me, do you know that they release in seasons? I didn't know that was a thing. So she told me that. So there you can see how much of a nail polish nerd she was, even more so than me when it comes to nail polish. Because I was like into everything, the nail polish and the nail care and the manicure and all of that. And when I learned that, that's like a whole nother world. When they come in seasons, now you got to catch them all like Pokemon, So anyways, I really, really love discovering that. And my sister is an actual nail polish freak as well. So that's another person that's like, she's the one that taught me about like, don't paint your nails touching your skin. Because in Cuba we do that. Well, that's another conversation. But I learned that from my sister. So they have taught me specific things, through the years, like even before my Instagram. So I was like, it's a whole new little world there, but I do have some people that share it. So that's great.
It is interesting that you started with like natural nail care. Because I think a lot of people come and be like, I just want the fancy colors. Like, I just don't care. Like, slap it on. And that's kind of how I was. And then I like learned more about like, and through you too, teaching me about all the different like layers of the nail and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious, when did the YouTube come in? Because you also post a lot of YouTube videos, reviews, longer form content. Was this always?
No, it was not.
Okay.
Actually. So I started on Instagram at the end of 2018. And through that, because I was doing a lot of stories and I never cared. Like I show my face, I don't mind. And a lot of people were like, you would do great on YouTube. And I was like, I don't have time for that. I'm not interested in that. I have no idea how to do any of that. So it was always like, no. And then at some point, I was like, I'm just going to open a YouTube channel. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? I hate it. I stop it. I don't pay my bills through this. It's just fun, right? If I don't like it, I don't do it anymore. And so it ended up that I did like it. So there I am, I don't know. I feel like this whole Instagram thing for me, it's kind of like a project that never stops changing. And I get bored very quickly. I think I have like some sort of like thing where my mind doesn't stick around for the same thing for very long. I'm surprised my page survived because I thought I was going to give it up in a month and I didn't. That's how bad it is, And so YouTube to me was like a new thing to learn, because I was like, okay, I got this down. What else can I add? And so I started doing YouTube. That's a whole different world of learning.
Yeah.
For this same project, like you keep adding bits to it, right? So at first it was like, just have my Instagram swatching. I'm learning how to grow it. I think I got this down. So what else? And then I did my YouTube. And then once I kind of got the hang of YouTube, I was like, okay, now I want to learn other things. And I kept adding, which is why I keep coming up with things because I think my brain is like, what's next, So, but I've stuck within this universe. I haven't dropped this to do something else. I don't think I am.
I think that's important though. And that's kind of like what I want to talk about more too, is like, we've talked about before, but you were like swatching, then you like did also gel enhancements. And then you were like, you had a section where you're like learning about monetization with our friend Crystal. And then now like education too.
What happens to me is that I'm very nerdy, right? So when I get into something, I get into something. My friends make fun of me all the time. They're like, when I get into it, I read the books, I watch the videos, I do the studying, I do the experimenting, I talk to everybody. And it's like obsessive, right? In a fun way. Because, you know, people would like to be that's not healthy. I'm fine. Okay. I'm a grown individual, but I just enjoy picking up everything. So when I started with the Instagram, it was just like post stuff. In a month, I'm going to be bored of this. Nobody cares. And then I was like, oh, I'm not bored of this. I really like this. And then it became learning that Instagram thing and learning what the platform was, how you can grow, meeting all these people, the community, all of that. Once I got the hang of that. And then in 2019, I started learning nail art. I did a lot of nail art in 2019. And I'm talking about like bought all the stamping plates, all the brushes. I have the MIDI brushes that I mentioned, like all the good brushes, all the shits, right? So I did a lot of that. I'm not saying that I'm like great at it, but I wanted to learn. So I have a bunch of pages on Instagram that teach you, that I will follow and try to like, you know, do that. So for 2019, I did a lot of that and that was fun. But what I realized with that is that it takes a long time. Nail art takes a long time. So I was passionate about it while I was learning it. But once I kind of got the hang of it, I was like, this is not my thing. Like I could do one every once in a while, but this is not where my heart lies, you know?
Yeah.
Then came YouTube. So I was like, well, I want to learn this. And once I got the hang of that, then I was like, okay, I want to learn enhancements. I want to learn about acrylics and polygel and gel X and gel. So again, I bought all the things, watched all the videos. And then I was doing acrylics on my mom and my daughter, like anybody that would let me do it. I didn't do it for content. I did it for me. Yeah. So I learned all of that. And I'm not saying, obviously, you cannot, if you don't practice, you're not that good at it. I'm not saying I'm like a pro at it, but as a DIYer, I can do it. I'm capable of grabbing a hand and doing enhancements. And then after that, I was like, this is also not where my heart is. I'm bored of this already. And then I also saw other issues like you have to be very careful with those things. Like it's not a game. Yeah. And so I was like, this is not something that I want to make content with. I'm glad I know because I could do it for people, but I'm not interested in making content about this. So when that was done, I went back to doing a lot of videos. And that's when the time when the reels went crazy. And I was like, that's another thing to learn because I was doing just pictures. I wasn't doing video short form. So when the reels were a thing, I was like, okay, this is something interesting. And then it was like doing that. I did that for a very long time. I posted a ridiculous amount of shorts in a matter of like a year that I look back and I'm like, you're not okay. That was too much.
I used to post between 2 and 3 reels a day.
I have days where I posted 5 and 6. That's how crazy it was. Because the problem was that it was very easy for me to make content. It became very easy. And people would be like, ask me a question. And it was easier for me to just whip up the camera, film it and upload it than to try and do a story or try to write it up or anything. It was just easy. So like, it sounds crazy, but it was the easy way out for me. And it just ended up that it paid off. But you know what I'm saying?
Like when I was doing like 3 whatever reels a day, it was just like the same exact thing. I did it so many times that like I could line them up and they were all exactly the same.
I remember that was like the bomb. Like I would send it to the friends that I was telling you about. And I was like, look at what he's doing. Oh my God, this guy's amazing. And then they were like, wow, how did you do it? And I'm like, it's just beautiful. It was beautiful to look at.
Just because we do it so much. Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that before. I thought that was like amazing. Wow.
Just like it shows like what swatchers, we're like, we do it so much. It's just like we could do it with our eyes closed probably at that point.
So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I was doing for people a lot of them were comparisons, which that one, you know, once you do that, it's the same thing. I have different styles. Like if it's 3 or 4 or 2, I do it in the thumb or whatever. But there was a lot of other stuff. Like what nail files do you use? I was like, whip up the camera, just show them. It was easy. There was a lot of that sharing, like, how do you clean your bottles? I was just like, okay, hold on, press record. And then show them. So it was a time of a lot of engagement on Instagram with reels. So I just kind of like plugged into that. It wasn't even like planned, but it just happened. You know how it is. You have to learn, and now your lighting is different, and now you need a better mount. So I did a lot of that for a while. And then I also started my TikTok, which was same kind of like content, you know? And then after all of that was said and done, I was like, I'm getting the same questions weekly, literally the same. And I repeat the same every week. And I cannot keep doing this because it's not that I can't. I love to teach people, especially when they're like super noob is the best because you get the best return on investment, right? Because you do a couple tips and the managers change so much. When someone's a little advanced, you need to like dig deeper. So I love that. But that wasn't the problem. I was like, I'm going to bore my other people. Because the people that have been with me for 3 years, how many times can you hear about my favorite top coat? Like, after a while, those people are like, like, yeah. So it's a weird balance between giving to the new people while keeping the old people entertained or engaged, I should say, because I'm not an entertaining channel, but it's keeping them engaged and giving to both. Like, they're different audiences. So anyways, I realized, I was like, maybe if I build a course, I can put all my thoughts into one place. And then, of course, I understand courses are not for everybody for different reasons. Not everybody learns well on their own. Not everybody can pay for a course. I understand all of that. Maybe people are not tech savvy. They're not going to like go into a computer. I don't know, right? I understand it's not for everybody, but I was like, it's going to be for somebody. And maybe those people can just get everything at once. They don't have to be going through all my YouTube videos. Like, everything that I have in my course, I have shared for free. It is not that it's like, keeping this knowledge. It's not. It's an organization thing that allows you to follow through. Organize, saves you time, everything's there, you're done. So I was like, if I do that, then all those people can just get it there. And then I can focus my time on other things, like teaching things that are not there or learning new things or whatever, right? So I thought about doing that for months. I was talking to Crystal about that. She knows. She'll laugh because she knows that I had it in the back of my head for so long. I was like, I need to do this. This is the right, I need to do it. And I just never did it because it's another thing to learn, So then when I was ready, I started learning about it, watching all the videos, about like all the software, all the things you need to learn to do it, because there's a lot that goes into it. And so I just did it, and that's it. So that's the last project I had. I don't have anything else right now. So
I mean, I think you have plenty of things.
Well, but I mean, nothing new.
But then you still have all these other ones that you're juggling too, right? So
yeah, but I feel like they're an autopilot in a way. Oh, and then the monetization thing also that you mentioned, I forgot about that. That came somewhere in 2021. I realized, and I was like, there's something here. There's something here. I mean, it was a hobby, and it still is, but two things could be true at once. It could be a hobby for me that also makes money for somebody else, and it can make money for me. So it kind of like a little light went off, right? I was like, there's something here. So I started to learn about that. And of course, I was taking advantage of, like, immensely, right? But I was like, well, it's okay. Like, when you learn, it's okay to mess up. It doesn't matter, right? You cannot get anywhere if you don't step through like being a noob for a while. So I don't mind that. I was like, we're going to see what happens. And so I started to see that there was money. And then I started to not accept a lot of work requirements just for free. I was like, no. Because I realized also, like, if I'm wasting my time working for somebody else, then I could never do all these things that I want to do. And I have things that I want to do all the time. Like, I want to do specific content for my people that I know they need. So if I'm wasting time, like, doing all this content to submit to somebody else for no reason, then I'm not doing what I want, So anyways, I kind of like balanced that out. I was like, I need to stop doing this and start doing more of this. And so whatever, I started to just accept things that were paid. And little by little, they start coming. The more you do it, as you know, it keeps, the ball keeps rolling, and then you learn about affiliate programs, and then Reels did like the bonuses and whatever, little things here and there, it adds up. And so then in like, I think it was 2022 that I got to work more with Crystal. That's like getting on an elevator.
Yeah, well, we all learned.
You're stepping through, and then when you start working with her, it's like you get on an elevator and it's a whole different, thing.
So you mentioned you call it a hobby. Is that you still kind of define it as a hobby, like, or I mean, you can have multiple words. Like, I'm like a swatcher. I'm a content creator. I'm a hand model. I don't know. Like, I call it all the different things.
I think for me right now is both a hobby and a part-time job.
Yeah.
Because I do have work now, but it's not just for my audience or for me. I have things that I do for brands that content creation that is for them. And I, there's other brands that I do things for that are not on Instagram, or maybe they are, but it's like for their website or their Amazon store. There's other things. And then there's my course, which is not content for anybody. That's mine. That's a project of my own, which I have to answer people's questions if there's any issues, it was a very smooth launch, I have to say, but still, it doesn't mean that things don't come up, and you have to be available for those people. So I would say it's like a part-time job / hobby.
Because you also have a day job too, right?
Oh, I have a full-time job.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to tell people you're an engineer, right?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer. I have a full-time job, 40 hours a week, which is also insane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, looking back, it sounds more insane. Like, when I was at that time, it didn't feel insane. But now looking back, I'm like, damn, I did a lot. Like, but it was just like a night. That's why I stopped doing content that was out in the sun because I need to work at night because I have a day job.
Yeah.
You know? And even though I work from home, so yeah, sometimes if something's running, like I have a program running and I need to wait for it to finish, yeah, I can whip up my Instagram and answer a couple questions, but it's my job. Like my job is first. Like sometimes I cannot even log in because I'm busy. So if I'm making content, it needs to be made at night. It cannot be working during the day, you know?
I started like, I was in school and like, it was like my thesis at one point, like the last semester. And I was like, still like, I was like, no, I got to swatch this collection. It's just like, I'm not getting paid for that. Like, it was like back when I was doing so much. I was like, what did I do? I mean, it was fun. Like, I liked doing it and like whatever, but it is crazy to think back like how much we did. And I think you have to like go through those stages to like to get where you are, right? Because you have to like have that past experience.
Well, so when you have very little time, it makes you become efficient on purpose.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do. If you have all day to do a swatch, you think about it and you want it to be perfect. And look, bitch, I have to do 3 reels in 1 hour. Whip it out and go. Like I don't have time to like poetry and romanticize. Like this needs to be done. There's something in volume. People don't realize this. Volume gives you experience. When you're doing the same task 10 times, you pick up on yourself. Like you get that muscle memory that tells you how to do it and how to do it better. And so you have to do it a lot of times to get better. There's just no way. Like whenever you look at anybody that's ever done something that they're good at, look at their track record. Like you just saw this one thing, but you didn't see like all the hours of practice. And that happens when you have like very little amount of time to do a lot. You become so efficient at it that it just becomes second nature, as you know, because you went through it. Same thing. You know?
Well, that was even like, okay, I'm just gonna like batch content. Like I had this one guy was like,
batch.
Yeah, he was like, do you paint your nails every morning? And I'm like, oh, bitch, no. Like I just like paint it once on the weekend and then like done for the week. I would just take like Friday night, put my movie on, put my podcast.
Me too. Like, I do a lot of batching. Like without batching content, there's no way. It
is like now that I'm not, I guess I am full-time nails.
You are, and that is so badass.
It is. I do feel like I have to swatch this collection. I'm gonna wait. Like,
but you don't need that time. You don't need 3 hours.
No.
If you sit down, you do it like in nothing.
Yeah, but to get to sit down.
We talked about this. Remember that I was telling you, like you were doing all of this when you were in your thesis.
Oh yeah,
you had the time, so you definitely have the time, but. It becomes the romantic poetry of like, I need to be inspired. You need to whip out that camera.
You just need to do it.
Do it.
Yeah. And that's like same thing. Like literally, I feel like that is like the most advice. And same thing with you. You're like, okay, just the course, like just do it. I was talking to Crystal about this podcast, like only about like a month. And I think I talked to you too. Like,
yeah. I'm so glad to see it.
I think the same way. Like I enjoy like watching like all the tech reviews, like all the mics, and like I ordered like 2 different kinds and like tested them and
beautiful.
Yeah. It's just my toys. I feel like at this point.
Yeah. It's
like
true.
I got a new light.
Yeah. Like when you like the building aspect of things, it doesn't matter what you're building. It doesn't matter if it's like the wall of polish or a course or a podcast. You're building something. It becomes, I think it's interesting. I like that. But I guess you have to like that because the process is very lonely.
It is.
Like people see the course and it's like, it did well for me. It did better than I expected. But if I track the amount of hours that I spent on my own out for nothing, there was nothing. Nobody was looking at me. Nobody knows this. It's not like, here I am filming my course. Nobody knows what I did. And it was very lonely. So you have to like it. So how do you do that? How do you sit there watching? How many videos can you watch about like the best platforms to host your course? Like, who cares? You have to like it and enjoy the picking up the knowledge and building. So because it's lonely. If you don't like it, you go crazy, right?
I feel like that's the same thing with like when I'm doing it, when I'm like bent over at night and I'm like, I'm just gonna paint one more nail. Like I don't like it. But then like afterwards, like, oh, like editing. I really enjoy like editing and like kind of posting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I still like painting my nails, but like I don't know, I find joy in like other things. It's not just like painting my nails.
Right. I do too. But I actually love the painting aspect. I have another friend of mine. She's nothing to do with nail polish. She's like I got acrylics every 2 weeks kind of girl, long nails and all of that. So I always tell her, like when I talk about it, I just love it. It's just like when you open it and when it goes on the nail and it's just so beautiful. She's like, I'm like, I love it. I do. Like, but yeah, I understand. Like for me, editing is not my favorite part, but I could see how it could be someone's favorite part. It's very like rewarding.
Yeah. I feel like that's when you can like find the story. of like the thing. Cause like I paint the nail the same way every time, but like the little ways that like I can fix it or like like the pacing and I don't know.
But you're very good at that. You have an eye. You know, I've told you this before. You have an eye. Like if I give you this bottle, you have a way of like showing different things from the same bottle. Like you have this I don't know,
vision.
video thing.
That's what my friends in college used to call it. You don't have the vision.
The
like
vision.
I feel like I'm always like thinking ahead of like what to do. I think that also just comes with doing it a lot. Like even before my Instagram, I was like making videos, editing. Like I did that a lot in school too. So it was like, I mean, the more you do it, and also it's like a thankless job, which like editing, like you hopefully don't notice that it's edited, right? It should just like flow and you don't notice.
It's very lonely.
Yeah, lonely. There you go.
You have to like it.
All the hours of like painting our nails when we had like 2 views on a reel, like
to enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to enjoy it.
If you don't enjoy it, so a lot of people like sometimes if someone were to ask me like, okay, I want to do that. Tell me. If I give you a checklist of all the things I have to do, you might not like it.
Yeah.
You might say, hell no. Like I want the image on the Instagram. Yeah, but that takes so many steps.
Start oiling your nails.
After doing this, I got like appreciation for content creators in general.
Yeah.
You know, and you hear this all the time. And it sounds like, oh, come on, guys. It's not a complaint. It's just a fact of what it is. It's like you see the finished product and you don't see how many hours that person spent doing like a bunch of other things. Like, yeah, short form is like quick, is you whip out the camera and you do it. But there's a bunch of other things that go into that. That's not just whipping out the camera. It's like making sure your lighting is correct, making sure your mount is placed at the right spot and the light is, and you know, we've done this. To get to that place, it takes hours of practice. Hey, how long were we practicing with that stupid light that we got?
Oh, yeah.
How many nights?
Yeah, sending it back
like
and
now
forth.
I can whip it out and I know the angle. But it took me how long of sending you pictures? What about this? What about that? What about that? And if you don't enjoy those nights, you cannot do it.
That's why I'm like, I do it once, one setup and be like, okay, great, done. Like I don't push myself too far because that's when you start to hate it. When you're like, oh, I've done this all night and it can't work. And
oh no, me neither.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's the same thing. Like every reel, I do something slightly better, like edit this faster. And that's how you learn. You just have to keep doing it.
I try not to get myself to a point where I become bitter or cynical about what I'm doing. Like when it gets to be too much, I stop.
Yeah.
Like there are times when I just don't want to create that night and I just don't even turn anything on. Because the outcome is really horrible. Yeah. Like I could see it. Maybe it's psychological that I know that I was in a bad mood. Maybe people won't notice, but I notice. Sometimes I make things and I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Because I wasn't in the right mindset. Like you're tired. Yeah. And it's happened to me that I've made videos for YouTube that I have edited, uploaded, and deleted. So I was like, that's not the right attitude. Like I have made videos where I look annoyed. And I was like, in my mind, I was not annoyed. I was happy.
Yeah.
But you're tired because of work or the kids or you're just exhausted. And when you are exhausted, you come across as you don't want to be there. And that's not the reality. But that's how it translates on video. Like your facial expressions, your tone, it sounds like you're being either too critical for no reason or cynical or just mad. And that's a sign of exhaustion sometimes. So I try not to do that. Like when I feel like I'm not in the right mood, I try not to do it because I know how it looks later. And it's like, it's going to be a waste of time.
That's what also now I just like end up, if I don't want to post, I don't. Like I was always like so afraid the algorithm was going to like hate me if I didn't post one day of the week.
Well, now I'm doing it on purpose a little bit more now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't. I've been planning one post a day. Dude, I was somebody that was posting 3 times a day for a year. Yeah. Nonstop. And then I was doing like 3 to 4 per day. And then the reels came and I was like, at least 3 a day. You know how much content that is? Like if you look at the amount of posts that I have is like 2,600. And that's only what's on my main feed. That doesn't count all the reels that are hidden. So the amount of content is insane. And now I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore because you get
it's not sustainable. Yeah.
No, well, it was sustainable for me for a very long time because it wasn't a sacrifice. It was just what it was.
Right.
I wasn't cynical about it. But now I realize that sometimes I'm like, if I'm doing things and I'm exhausted about doing that, it's just not good. The content's just not good. But maybe it's just I'm going through a phase or something. I realized that. I think I'm going through a phase.
But do you think that's just like your style of like the thing was like the swatcher, then the gel enhancements, then the like monetization, like
maybe I'm in that, you know how people when they're, I don't know, like when they're having babies, they have a baby and then in 2 years they have a baby. No, but you've heard about it. I don't have that, but I've heard, you know, and then you have a kid and then in 2 years you have a kid. And then when you're done having kids, you're like, I have baby fever.
Okay.
Like I'm used to popping up a kid every 2 to 3 years, and I'm in this baby making phase. And when you're done, you get baby fever. I think I'm in a content baby fever stage where it's like, I'm in a right now. It could change. Maybe tomorrow you catch me and I tell you something else. But right now I've noticed in the last couple of like weeks that I'm in a period of like, maybe I need that next baby. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I've had that. And we talked about, I was like, I'm just like doing the same thing over and over. Like, and I think that's also part of like this podcast too. This is my new baby.
That's amazing. I'm very, very happy.
Thank you.
I'm very happy that you're doing this. You know, but I'm saying it to the people.
I wrote this down before that I think this is important because also you have a lot of theories. Where I feel like I always come to you of like, I'm like, how come? Yeah. Like I was like, when I grew insanely fast last summer. And then it was like, okay, but now like I'm getting 0 views or like it's going down. And I came to you, I was like, what's going on? Like, is this a natural thing? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, because I've seen it many times before. It happened to me the first time I got a big spike. And like I tell you, I pay a lot of attention. I'm very nerdy. I look at numbers, I make spreadsheets, and I analyze things. I look at people's pages, I see what they're doing, and I see how, it's computer brain or something. And I noticed when it happened to me the first time, but I noticed lightly. I was like, okay, there's a big spike of followers, and then there's dead engagement. Oh, maybe it's a coincidence. And then it happened again.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, this is the same exact behavior as this other one. And then it happened to a friend of mine. And I was like, okay, there's something to this that I'm not crazy. I'll explain what it is in a minute. And then when it happened to you, by that time, it had already happened to me like 3 times and friends. And it's a thing, right? So what happens is when you have your base of followers, this is just psychology. It has nothing to do with Instagram. I think it's just psychological. When you have your base of followers or people that know you, you post and they know you and they engage with you. So everything's doing great. And then something goes viral and you go up and you get like all these new people and you're in a high because no matter what you do, everything's high. And followers are coming in because of 1 or 2 pieces of content that are going viral and everything's like on fire. And then when that viral moment stops, everything goes down. But now your base is a bunch of people who don't know you. Which means when you come on the feed, they're not going to engage. They don't know you.
Right. They just know that one video.
And they have no knowledge about who you are. And so what ends up happening is you don't get engagement. You think all these new followers, my base engagement is going to go crazy. It doesn't. So I always tell people when your base knows you, you have a lot of depth with them, right? But when you go viral, you have a lot of width. That's not deep. You have width. So after a viral moment stops, that's your time to not worry about growth and worry about building depth with the people, the new ones. They need to get to know you. So when you go viral, it's a perfect time to do content that gets people to know you. Because remember, when the fire stops, they're the ones that are going to give you engagement. Yeah. So it always happens. After a big viral moment, things go silent. And what happens is psychologically, people go crazy.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. They're like, I was on this high, and now I'm on this like super low. And they just stop posting. They go away. They get depressed. But it goes crazy.
Well, you're like, I'm doing the same thing I was before. And now.
Why is it not paying off? But the problem is that you have a lot of width, but you have no depth with those people. So that's your time to start building depth. Pull them. What do you need help with? Who are you? Welcome to the new people. Let me share some. That's at the moment where you share to your story, for example, new pieces of content that did good in the past. You share them again. You repost things from the past that were very useful because now you need to get all those new people to know you. And that's very lonely. People don't like lonely, right? The hard work is in the lonely step up, right? So if you do that, then that wide base knows you. Now you have depth with it. And then the next viral moment comes. Maybe it doesn't come. Maybe it just stays normal. But I'm saying like when the next viral moment comes, you need to be ready and understand that the fall is coming. So when you see that happen 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, you already know how to write it.
Yeah. But the first time it was like,
Right.
But I remember you were like, just keep posting, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, don't give up.
And it got fixed, right?
Yeah. Now it's like somewhat normal, not really, but
which is what we should aspire to, normal. Yeah. So the viral moments are amazing and they take you places.
They're fun. Yeah.
But they should just be tools. If it happens, you need to write it, but not let it be who you are because that's not sustainable.
You can't chase the views.
The base down here is where you are. Getting your people to know you, that's where you are. Building, trust with your audience, giving them what they need, helping them because they're there to get something from you, whether it be color inspiration or inspiration, whatever it is, right? So yeah, that theory, I started noticing that at the very beginning when it happened. I was like, I think there's something to this. And then as it kept happening, then I just knew that it was, the proof was in the pudding, so.
I feel like also you taught me of like, I guess I didn't think about it my mode was just like, we're just posting, we're doing, like, I didn't analyze as much the audience in the beginning, but also you were telling me about like posting videos specifically for different parts of your audience. Like not everyone has to like the certain posts. Like you're not doing it for everybody. Like you have certain posts that are like mass appeal, like the quick one stroke polishes that I do. Yeah. Like that's the one that like tends to go viral. And then I have videos that I have for my audience, people like that I like, things that I know my audience likes. Not everything has to be that like perfect.
Yeah. So I tend to focus on content that is for my audience because they're the ones watching. Yeah. Like I see a lot of advice online that's like, make content for you and the audience will come. Yeah, that's true. A little bit. But it doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be all the time content for you or all the time content for your audience, because then there might be things you want to do that you know that your audience might not for everybody's going to resonate, but it feels your souls, right? So you need to do a little bit of happiness for you and a little bit of happiness for them. It cannot be just for you, because if it was just for you, who are you posting for?
Yeah.
Like what audience are you trying to serve? I feel like if it's a hobby, it's a hobby. You don't care about the numbers or anything like that. But if you care about growing a page and building a community, you need to care about the community. Like, what is this? A community of one? A cult? Like, just me? No. You need to ask them, what problem can I solve for you? And maybe that's going to be like, I'm trying to find the perfect red. It doesn't have to be like my nails splitting. Yeah. Or, it could be something simple. Like, I am dying to find the perfect wedding color. Here's a video of like my 5 favorite wedding colors. I don't know, like whatever fits the audience. I think if you don't listen to them or care to ask, I think there's something there that you're missing. There's some gold in there. A lot of the pieces of content that I have, they told me what they wanted. When you're listening to them, it's like an endless well of information, because otherwise, maybe it runs dry. So I think it's important for people to leverage who's watching, who you're doing this for, they'll tell you, I think, a lot of times what they want. So
I feel like some people will tell you what they want and then it doesn't actually what they wanted. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could happen. Yeah, a lot of times people, they have a problem and they come to you with the solution that they want, and it's like, that's not it, But at least you can have the conversation and get a feel for it, right? And I guess maybe you have to be a little bit of a people person to enjoy that part, because that's very exhausting. Yeah. It's not for everybody. When you ask me a question, if I have follow-up questions, bitch, now it's a conversation.
Yeah.
Now I need to ask you. So I pay a lot of attention to them. So it's like, that's an investment emotionally that you have on that conversation. And for them, it's one conversation, but I'm having 20 at the same time. And it's very, like, even if I enjoy it and I'm doing it because I want to, nobody's forcing me.
Well, also because it doesn't stop once you whenever people ask me things like, oh, I should tell them this, or like when I'm getting like later during the day, I'm like, oh, I should have told them that. Yeah. So it just like never stops.
Yeah, that happens to me too. And because you are paying attention and you care about the conversation. I'm not just putting up a question box to get engagement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to tell me how I can help you because I care about this project. I care about this community, right? Like, it gives me back when people send me pictures of the before and after.
Yeah.
That's something that fills your cup, Or when
people recreate something or
people recreate, which happens more for like nail artists or like, or when people say, you recommended this thing to me 2 months ago, I wanted to let you know, and people actually will let you know, which is amazing. I love it when they do that. I wanted you to know that this saved whatever the problem it was that they were having. That's good, A lot of times, of course, you're not going to get that, but that's fine. I don't expect that either. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. There's a lot there. Because, it's little human interactions all day. But that also goes back to building that base. That's the community that you're trying to build. How are you going to build it if you don't handle their needs in a way,
It is sad too when people are like, I can't believe you responded. I'm like, yes.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DMs are very important, but very taxing. If you're really going to pay attention to them, it's very lonely.
Well, I love that we can chat. I know we always like chat on voice memo, but like being able to see you and talk to you, this makes it less lonely.
It does. Yeah. I know we don't mind. Like, we chose. Do this. But I mean, since we're talking about it, you have to let people know, because sometimes I feel like people don't realize. People realize the PR boxes that you get, which is nice, but they don't realize that there's a lot more than PR. Like,
they just see the nice photo.
All of these things that I get in PR are not worth the time that I spend on my DMs. It's not comparable. The time on my DMs is because I want to, because I find value in something that I'm doing here and helping people, and I just like it. It's selfish. It's lonely, but it's selfish. I enjoy it. It gives me something, the people that we talk to is it's a lot more important. But the shiny stuff is what people see, which is fun.
It's also like, and when people like ask me like what polish or like what brand, I'm like, this is so easy for me. I'm like, how could I not just like tell you, like, because I live this, like, we know the answer. So like, I mean, it does take time, but it's like something that I'm so passionate about. Like, it is exciting to like share that with somebody else.
And to find those people, you know, to find those people. Like I have done reels joking about this. Is like, when you find somebody that understands that not all whites are the same, that's your people right there.
Yeah.
Because those freaks, they're not easy to find. Who cares? It's just a tint of pink, but you know it's there. And that is a part of the community and the hobby that not a lot of people are going to understand. So it's amazing. That part is great. Yeah, it's really fulfilling. So in a weird way, because it's not important, right? Like no polish, like in the grand scheme of things, who cares? But we care, you know, it's a hobby for us. And it's, you know.
So we spent a lot of time thinking about it.
For sure.
Well, I want to thank you, Larissa.
Thank you.
Everybody, please go to polish.lab.rat on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
all the places.
And your course, I will link that in the show notes too, so people can find that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad this is happening. I just said it, but I have to say it again.
Thank you.
Actually see you doing it. I'm very happy. It's going to be good.
Well, thank you. Okay, I guess we're done. Okay. I love Larissa. She's so fun to talk to. Again, I'm going to leave all the relevant links down below so you can check those out. I want to thank everyone for supporting the show. Please subscribe and leave a review on anywhere you're listening. But if it's below 5 stars, you can DM me directly for some constructive criticism. We don't need that on public blast. Okay. And I have some comments from my last podcast. Will Work for Nail Polish says, I'm seriously enjoying the pod. So fun. Thanks. By Closier says, 20 seconds in, and I'm already loving the vibe. Thanks. And as always, you can follow me at abe.nailbabe. I'll see you next Thursday. Now I have to paint my nails.